This week's episode of No Guns Life really did a lot for the series. A lot of good backstory, good character progression, and just handling everything with class. This really was the best episode of No Guns Life, at least for myself. This felt like a rewarding experience. It was action-packed, it was emotionally packed, and it really set up the future of where it could go now that we got a good look at the other extended who is very similar to Juzo, seeing that he does have a partner and how pretty much everything is going to shit and not going according to plan, and playing by the law doesn't seem to be working out all that well. This episode was just utterly great. I loved what they did with Olivia. Enjoyed the first little 3-4 minutes just seeing the backstory, because a lot of what she was doing to this tale up to this point I thought was supposed to be more gimmicky and just supposed to be anime. But as we see, just with her little opening up cans and has this really bad smell, what's the point of that, right? Is it just a little gimmick? But no, we get to see a nice little backstory of before her father ended up dead, if you're gonna give me a wish of anything I want you to quit your job. And because he's in the military, he's in a very dangerous situation, and her entire point was she's gonna rise up the ranks so she could fire her father. And her father said, I would bring you back something from this area that's very, it's special to the area, and it just so happened to be this canned food. And it just is oh, that makes total sense on why she's so bound and determined to probably stop a lot of people from ending up like her father did, but also why she just cracks open these cans at random intervals, right? It's something that feels rewarding, but then by the end of the episode, especially when you see the confrontation between Juzo and Army, it's it becomes even more heartbreaking to see how much she just wanted this man to die. Depending on the person, maybe what they would want, but we know what she wants. We know what she's been telling Juzo is that capture these people alive, bring them to trial, and actually bring this down, because simple revenge isn't going to fix the problem. It will just be a temporary band-aid on your broken heart. But drag people to court and actually take it down lawfully, then that could probably stop a lot of the same things from happening to other families and people like that. And I thought it was so interesting to see that backstory play out and then the build up towards the end of the episode, because she really wanted this man to die. And the fact that Juzo played a card that generally would feel cliche and boring, just kind of feeling oh, it's the same thing, but Juzo stopping himself, regaining his sanity because he cares for this girl. He understands what it is she wants. If she really wanted him to die, he would have killed him without a doubt in my mind. She just episodes prior said, bring in the people responsible. Don't do something just for petty revenge, and petty revenge wouldn't make sense. Petty revenge actually would have been the cliche route in this situation. So the fact that they actually went with something that typically is eye-rolling, you're wow, the author's so original, didn't do something unjust because of heroic reasons. But no, this was actually the best case, especially seeing with the backstory and just what she was truly always fighting for. And I thought it was really wholesomely adorable and emotional and just kind of tragic all wrapped up into one, and it was pretty damn fantastic. And to see that entire build-up, I really thought we weren't going to get too much action after all the action we have had over the past couple of weeks here. And to see just how far Juzo's body went was insane. This man, I thought on more than one occasion died. I thought maybe his brain, his sub-brain would have to be put into a different body or something, because it just felt like this man is done for, right? It just felt so hopeless. And just what I really liked with this army guy is how he is an egomaniac. What he's doing definitely is to fulfill his own heroic wish fulfillment. But I don't believe everything he says is completely wrong. I think both sides have their pros and cons. Yes, this dude probably got an ego complex, 100%, but I do think there's a lot we don't know about this world, and the fact that just taking him out isn't going to solve anything, probably is going to do a lot more harm than good. Seen by the assassination at the end of the episode, it just feels like there's a lot we don't know, and there might have been more truth to his words than maybe characters like Olivier were willing to give him. You know, I really do believe, yeah, Juzo Hsieh, definitely this guy's a scumbag, but at the same time, maybe he's covering up things because he actually is trying to mend the divide between extendeds and anti-extendeds. Maybe, yes, he did get this ego complex, but was there all just lies and bullshit? Probably not. Maybe most of it was. But that's what I really like about this confrontation, is that on one hand, logically, you're this dude's a scumbag, he's doing things for unjust reasons, he probably just wants to feel like a hero, but then on the other, with everything that we see, it's is he all that wrong? Is there actually truth to his words, and is what we just did going to divide more than is actually going to mend? We don't know until we see more, and that's kind of an exciting feeling, and also a troubling one. And just to see how Juzo progressively got more and more insane, and to see more about his type, this very rare kind of it got discontinued, it's too out there, We knew about the whole user, we've seen Tetsuro use his gun, and just the idea that if he has a revolver as a head, he probably can't pull his own trigger, as funny as that may sound. So, to actually see, like, what can happen when he really loses control, when his nerves completely break, he's not on his medication, just to see the automated responses was actually wild. It was both insane and cool, but also pretty tragic to see what he was becoming, because even if he dealt with his opponent, would he be able to differentiate between friend and foe? Probably not, as seen by Tetsuro at one point riding on Juzo's back, making some snarky remarks about how just because he hasn't had his smokes doesn't mean he can act like a kid, basically. It's just like, I love how they can sneak in humor in this series and actually make it feel natural. I also really like that one moment towards the end of the episode where it gets a little romantic with Olivia and Juzo and how she takes a smoke and breathes it into his mouth. Only in No Guns Life could you have a female basically locking lips with a gun and have that feel romantic, both funny and then it also a little weird, all wrap up into one. But I mean, it's No Guns Life, right? It kind of has its own style at this point, and we just roll with it. But I did like seeing the carnage in this episode, because even though it really did feel one-sided, Juzo was mopping him after he started to get his automated responses, it was still pretty crazy to see how well this dude hung on with his own abilities, because his entire body is basically a weapon. It was really cool to see the different techniques and how he would basically get out of situations, and obviously if it wasn't for Olivia basically saying, kill him, and that snapping him into it because he realizes that's not actually what she wants based on what she just said hours prior, he would have easily killed him, but at the same time, he held his own exceptionally well. And that's what I really like about No Guns Life, is even when it gives you a lot of action, there's actually a story at play. It's not just a bunch of cool-looking robots fighting, right? No, there's actually a personal motivation there. You know, on Army's side, there's a reason why he got into that egomaniac mentality. There's got to be something that really did originally drive him, and maybe it has gone to his head over time, but there's clearly something there that's making him say, I have to kill you, I apologize, I don't want to have to do this, and anyone who gets in our way, they do have to die for the betterment of extendeds and anti-extendeds alike. So there's clearly something pushing him there. He's not just saying, I want to still be a hero. There's clearly something more personal and probably more heroic than we're probably willing to give him credit to. And then of course on Juzo's side and the rest, there's all those personal stories that we've been accustomed to over the weeks, right? So it's not just like we're looking at cool action and it's like, oh, who cares, lives or dies. Both sides kind of felt like they probably had a right to continue to live. It's just maybe Army had some wise words there, right? Maybe if they did work together, something good could have happened. But of course, if he was going to kill the person that they were hunting, there's no way that they could, right? That's kind of the deal breaker, the straw that broke the camel's back. I didn't know how much I wanted to see Juzo lose control until this episode, but I'm really glad we got to see it. But at the same time, I hope we never see it again just for his sake, because he snapped out of it this time, but could he again? Probably not. If they were discontinued, they were discontinued for a reason. But now that he has Tetsuro, clearly he's going to be the hand, the one who's going to be able to use Juzo's full potential. And as seen with basically the person on the opposing side who looks very similar to Juzo, it seems like if they did have a good partnership, if Juzo really does start trusting in his companions more, I think he would be a lot better suited, because obviously he's tried to push himself away, try to be the distance one, but clearly that's not working. Mary and Tetsuro, all the characters, the ones that he can truly trust, he needs to put more faith into them. And I love how Tetsuro really rose in this episode. Didn't feel like a child, a spoiled brat. He felt like someone who understood his worth. I'm not taking over you. You told me to never use my abilities on you. I didn't, but you also didn't ask me if I wanted to be placed into custody, right? There's definitely, they need to work together. They would be amazing partners. It's clear as day at this point, but he also needs to put more trust into these other characters. It's not just like Tetsuro is a flawed person. Juzo is as well, and obviously it's because of everything that he's went through and how much he's obviously lost. That's actually what's making No Guns Life an exceptional series. Yes, it's funny. Yes, it's action-packed, but at this point, with 2/3 of the way through this first season, it's incredible to see the amount of character depth and actual story progression primarily focused on the world building that we've experienced up to this point. This series is obviously only going to get crazier, and I love it. I love the sound effects when they're clashing. I love the music when it's eating away or blasting at you. And to actually see the emotional range primarily Olivia went through in this episode really got to me. I actually was feeling emotions that I wasn't expecting from a series like No Guns Life from what I've seen up to this point. It was actually really incredible to see the amount of emotional depth we had for such an action-oriented episode. It kind of shows the difference between authors who know how to write fun-looking action and those who understand that you can't just have a series built on fun-looking action if you want to last in the long run. You need to have characters that matter and evolve past their initial quirk or little personality gimmick, and that's why No Guns Life is doing exceptionally well, at least for someone like myself. I definitely think there will be some people who will say Juzo should have killed this man, but I mean, especially seen by how he died anyway, so give the girl her revenge, but I definitely feel like that moment really sold how good the writing is in this series when it really counts, because it logically didn't make sense for what they were trying to do and trying to because there's so much corruption in this series, right? You can't just say, okay, this is a bad person, let's just kill them, if you want to actually fix the problems at hand. Just taking out a soldier in a larger conspiracy isn't going to solve the issue, nor is it going to fix someone's father coming back from the dead, right? Like, it actually is impressive how they took such a cliche trope of not killing the enemy and actually turning it into something that felt well written and actually worthwhile. I don't say that often, but I'm definitely saying that for this week's episode of No Guns Life. But what did everyone think of this week's episode? Because I definitely thought it was the best episode, but whether you agree with that statement or you just have your own opinions, let me know down in that comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.